Welcome back, everybody, to the Retro Blood. As we start off our brand new month here in the month of June 2025, talking some creatures that come from outer space, some aliens that will come down and take over your worlds, some predators, some diseases, some alien creatures that will take over humanity, because yes, the Retro Blood is back, talking It Came from Outer Space Part 2. Yes.
And boy, do we start off hot.
But I don't want to say hot, but we are starting off. If y'all like bad acting, if y'all like one poopy looking beast, I guess, that shows up and tears everybody from the outer spaces and it uses laser guns to kill the town of Perry, Maryland. If y'all like a cop named Jack who was trying to save the town but also realized while he was getting stalked and killed by a deadly beast, he finally realized that his deputy was pretty hot, so he fucked her. If y'all like a Jamie who comes up with magical plans of electric coil to stop alien creatures from the outside space, then this is the review. This is the review for you, brother, because the Retro Blood is starting. It Came from Outer Space Month Part 2 with NightBeast. J.H. Alison, James Kline. What's happening, Alison? How was your trip to Maryland, man? You know, I've been to Maryland a couple times. You know what I mean? Perry, Maryland. Supposed to be at?
I don't know. This is where I would imagine the Brisco brothers are from, because they're from Maryland. So I imagine that this is what I imagine this is what their neighborhood looks like. But you know, it's like I actually like this movie better than I thought I would. Yeah. And I liked it better than you did.
No, hold on. But I didn't say that. We'll get there.
I don't know. It was another example of terrible small town cops. These may be the worst cops we've ever seen in a movie.
Well, it was definitely the worst acted cops. Like, you know, when they're speaking their dialogue.
Like that was bad.
So, you know, quick thoughts. You know, I actually thought this movie, because we know we've done a bunch of these movies before, low budget. We do everything on the Retro Blood. We do high budget. We do low budget. We do all kind of budget on the Retro Blood. We don't discriminate. We don't give a fuck. As long as the shit's good.
Exactly.
And there's some shit that, you know, gets us going and cracks us up and stuff, we're good. All right?
It doesn't even have to be good.
Exactly. We don't give a fuck. So when I was watching this movie, I appreciated the... I don't know. I kind of liked it. I actually did kind of like this movie because I liked the... when they were showing the outer space... And I liked the way that the creature looked from outer space. He kind of looked kind of neat. Yeah. And he was just tearing up everybody using his laser beams. And then when he would shoot people with his laser beams, everybody would like get edited out of the screen and shit. And they just go away. That shit was hilarious. All right. But the acting, like the parts in between with the acting was horrible. I mean, where the fuck did they find these people? Like this wasn't this wasn't even a high school drama level acting. It's just shocked.
No. That's what I was going to say. Like, I mean, I feel like it's a situation where they just used whoever they had.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you know, I know Jerry wants to play a cop in my movie, so I'm going to put Jerry into my movie. And, you know, it's kind of like, you've seen Ed Wood, the movie Ed Wood. The Tim Burton movie about Ed Wood. Yeah. Where they'll go and they'll like shoot something. He's like, all right, good enough. Let's go. And I have a feeling that that's how this movie was made.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Definitely.
You know, the alien looked, I mean, it didn't look good, but it probably looked the best they could do with what they had to work with.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like, you know, he was fulfilling his dream of making a movie, and he did.
Well, this one was actually like he's made like, we'll talk about when we do the Who Book this shit. Yeah. But this I think his name Dohler. He
something like that, yeah.
Yeah, he's actually made. I think he made 2 movies before this one, but this is supposed to be a remake from one of his movies. One of his alien movies that he made in the 1979. So this is actually a remake of a movie that he already made. So just imagine.
Oh, really?
That. Yeah, but we'll
I know that he made. he made a movie. What's the other movie that I know that he made? Galaxy Invader, but he made that after this though.
Yeah. Yeah, the one.
Yeah, anyway.
It was his first movie. It was called The Alien Factor.
Okay.
All right, and we'll talk about some of the differences that were in that one compared to this one. But actually, I want to talk about this because I actually think the alien and creatures coming from outer space is a really in horror movies really match up pretty well. I think like most of the time, even if your movie kind of sucks, you know what I mean? Like, but if you add the element of an outside space creature coming at you, killing a bunch of towns and everything, it does have a good level of charm to it, I would say.
I would agree with that. I feel like, though, alien movies are really hard to pull off because they require a certain amount of special effects that a lot of independent filmmakers don't necessarily have.
Well, we had some in here, Alison. If you got shot by the laser beam, you turn red and you get. I wonder if I can negative you out over here, like when they did that. That'd be
great.
I
get negative me out. We could do the same special effects that they use for this movie.
Hilarious.
But the thing though is like, I feel like if you're an independent filmmaker making an alien movie, the less you show of the alien, the better off you are. Yeah, and probably. I feel like maybe they showed too much of the alien in this movie.
Yeah, we mostly got his face. We got the jumpsuit here and there, but we mostly got his face. Yeah. So. But
he looked like he was just wearing like coveralls, like you would wear if you were like working in the garden or something. Yeah. But anyway,
and I liked it too how like every character owned a plaid shirt. I like that.
Oh yeah, man, you got to wear those flannels.
I know.
You live in the country.
Exactly. It's like necessary. Like when I
got a whole closet full of flannels.
When I'm going to be naming some of the characters, I just call them blue flannel, red flannel. That's what some of the characters are. So, but everybody, like on every Retro Blood, this one's no different. Let's talk about what is going on in the world of the pro wrestling and the metal music around the release date, or the supposed release date of NightBeast. It'd be, well, the one I found on the internet, if it's correct, but you never know about some of these 1982 ones and stuff. But it's November, the one we're going to be using is November 30th, 1982. Okay? That's when this movie supposedly came out. I'm not sure if it came out in theaters. I'm not sure if this guy Don had like a barbecue in his backyard and he showed it. Or I'm not sure if they thought this was a softcore porn, so they showed that in the peep shows. I'm not sure. But it was around. It was around town around that time. I'll go first because I really like the wrestling at this time, like this date, was like nothing going on. All right, like just absolutely like in December there's shit going on, but in November we really didn't have too much going on at the time at all. All right, so the biggest thing I could find at this time that actually happened on this date, all right, in Columbia, South Carolina, we had a great wrestler who I think was a great wrestler for his time, but I feel like, I don't know, I feel like he, I think he came at the right time, but he also could have been good today as well, too, which is one Jack Brisco. All right?
Oh, yeah.
Because, Jack and Jerry Brisco, the original Briscoes, not the Brisco brothers we were talking about from earlier, all right?
Yeah, the original Briscoes.
Yeah, the original Brisco ones. They were collegiate college wrestlers. Okay?
Yes. And
they were two brothers who both like kind of transitioned from collegiate wrestling to professional wrestling, which was, it was done back in that day. They took a lot of collegiate wrestlers. I believe like Danny Hodge was a collegiate wrestler. Luthez, I believe, was a collegiate wrestler as well too. So they were kind of following in their footsteps. And of course, Jack, he actually became, very popular. So popular that I believe he became the NWA champion. I know he became it once. I'm not sure if he did it multiple times. But his style of wrestling was like kind of like that Zack Sabre Jr. style, where it's a lot of mat, a lot of mat holds, a lot of positioning. And to be honest with you, man, if you all watch like a Jack Brisco match, like it kind of holds up. Like that's that collegiate wrestling style in actually doesn't really get old. You know what I mean? Like, you can watch like a very collegiate Jack Brisco mat style wrestling, and it will at least remind you of some wrestlers you might have watched from your childhood, maybe like a Kurt Angle, you know, like a Dean Malenko. You know what I mean? Like those more mat-based wrestlers. You know, nowadays we have like Zack Sabre Jr., a lot of people from Bloodsport, you know, mat wrestlers and stuff. So I actually think like, you know, Jack Brisco was actually pretty like, you know, kind of like big time deal for his time. I'm surprised he doesn't get as much as talked about as he does. So.
Yeah, and I mean, I am more familiar, obviously, with his brother Jerry.
Yeah.
Because to me, the Stooge, exactly. Jerry Brisco was a Stooge from Vince McMahon, which you know, is definitely not the highlight of his career.
Yeah.
I mean, they were both definitely great wrestlers. But I wonder why Jack never worked for Vince McMahon as a Stooge. And Jerry did, you know.
So I believe Jerry kind of went to work for Vince, and he kind of like I think Jerry kind of helped with like recruiting talent.
Yeah.
You know? I'm not sure if that was his like original job, but I know that's what he later on became. Like, he was the guy who actually scouted Brock Lesnar.
Right.
But I think Jack at that time, when Jerry was, you know, doing his Stooge stuff, Jack was actually running their auto business. They actually had a really good auto shop. Remember, he used to come out with that, you know, Jack and Jerry's auto shop. So I think Jack at the time when he retired, he was running
the auto shop.
Yeah, he was running more of the auto shop. You know, obviously, you know, Jerry's still alive, but Jack has passed away. But it's you know, like Jack Brisco actually, like, you know, if you watch some of his stuff, it's actually pretty neat. Like, it's actually pretty, like the moves and stuff he does, like I feel like a lot of wrestlers who like do like mat work, you know, like more of that mat traditional based wrestling, they copy a lot of his moves. You know, I believe Jack is the one who did like the a lot of stuff with the legs, kind of like that kind of like a leg lock style submission hold that he had on here. So, but yeah, really good wrestler. You know, everybody should check it out if you're not too familiar with the Jack Brisco. I highly recommend checking him out. But on this day, he was in Columbia, South Carolina. All right, and he was the NWA Mid-Atlantic champion at the time, and he fought the soon-to-be manager of the 1980s, Paul Jones. All right, and we talked about Paul Jones on here. Like, this is probably the Paul Jones era where he was just ripping off Billy Graham. So, and then later on, he became a good manager for Crockett. So, you know, not a whole lot going on, but I thought that was pretty interesting. And I bet that match is pretty good because both of these guys are definitely very solid in the ring. They're the solid technicians.
Oh, I guarantee that match was fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, between those two. But yeah, like you were saying, like with Jones, like I know him more as a manager, of course. Yeah. But he was a hell of a wrestler before he had to become manager. Yeah.
Do you think Jack Brisco could have been in this movie? I think so.
I think Jack Brisco would have been if Brisco and Jones had been in this movie. The movie would have been much better.
Hey, but at least the acting would have been better.
Yeah, the acting would definitely have been better.
Because they know
you could have had Jack Brisco as the sheriff, and then you could have had
except for that one dude.
Yeah, true.
What was going on with him?
And maybe you could have had Jones play either the motorcycle bad guy. Or you could have him play.
Oh, Drago?
Drago, that was his name.
I couldn't believe that was his fucking name. I was like, wait a minute, Drago? What is this? What is this? What is it? Was it Rocky? Which one had the Russian in it? Rocky. Yeah, I was like, Rocky this is Rocky 4?
Yeah, Drago.
I was like, wait a minute.
And this was this made before Rocky 4? This was made before Rocky 4.
It's 1982. Yeah, maybe. Bro, what if Stallone fucking watched NightBeast? He was like, oh fuck yeah, Drago. That's a great name. Yeah. By the way, I am going to talk about in who booked this shit. You could not believe who's attached to this movie. I could not believe it when I fucking saw it. So.
I thought of some. I think I can think of somebody that I heard was attached to it. Maybe the same person.
We'll talk about it.
Okay,
we'll
talk about it. We'll talk.
Yeah. I mean, I could. It's not so shocking, you know. Like I couldn't believe it, but I was like, oh shit, no way. All right, kind of shocking. So.
Especially for the timing.
Yeah, exactly.
Of it, but yeah, it's the same person, I'm sure.
Oh yeah. All right, Alison. I know you got something good for the music. that you're messaging me. Now, this is not metal, but technically.
Not again, yeah.
I mean, if there was a pop star who was very metal, I would say this guy would be like pretty close.
And Eddie Van Halen played on this album, so
there you go, that
it kind of has metal on it. So,
exactly.
Yeah. So, as we've talked about lately, we've kind of mined 1981 and 1982 for heavy metal to death.
Yeah,
we've talked about everything about that I can think of. So I want to talk about this music. A couple of interesting things that happened. So again, not metal, but this movie, what we're calling the release date is November the 30th.
Yes.
So on November the 29th, 1982, which I'm wondering if that's the day after Thanksgiving. But anyway, Michael Jackson released Thriller.
Oh, shit.
Which is the top-selling non-compilation album in the United States. So it was the top-selling album for a long time, period. And then the Eagles' greatest hits just continued to sell records and kind of beat it. But yeah, it's still the top-selling non-compilation album, non-greatest hits album, but the second overall. But I want to talk about this because Michael Jackson's Thriller has such an impact on music in general.
A lot. And
definitely on my life, for sure. Like, I remember when this came out, and I remember how impactful it was. And like I mean, Michael Jackson was everywhere. I mean, Michael Jackson and Hulk Hogan were probably the two biggest things in the 80s. If I had to pick two things, Michael Jackson and Hulk Hogan would be the two big things. As far as transcending all genres of everything. Everyone in the United States knew who Hulk Hogan was, and everybody in the United States knew who Michael Jackson was. There's no way. You may not have been a fan.
Yeah. Yeah, no matter what
you knew who they were. Right.
Yeah.
You knew who these people were. But it's kind of cool because like the way this album was made, there's a really good documentary about it that I think is on HBO Max if anybody wants to watch it. But Michael Jackson is not really, he doesn't really play instruments so much. He's mostly a singer. But he would write these songs and he would go in and record them in a studio, but he would make all the noises, all the musical sounds that he wanted with his mouth. And then he would like record, overdub all these like mouth noises of like what he wanted it to sound like. And then he would sing over it. And then he would turn that tape and say, I want it to sound like this. And then they would just play music over it. There's a lot of famous people that played on this. And the thing that came out, the reason this album was created mostly is because it's Michael Jackson's second hit album. He released Off the Wall in 1979, which is basically a disco record. But by 1982, there was such a pushback against disco, and people just got to where they just didn't want to hear any more disco because they were so sick of it, that he kind of went in this new direction, which kind of, it took like funk and synth pop and rock music and metal and all kinds of things and kind of put them together into like one type of music. And it's unlike anything else that's ever made before, and nothing like this has ever been made since, in my opinion. But it had a lot of people playing it. Like I mentioned before, Eddie Van Halen played the guitar solo and beat it. Toto, the band Toto, was the backing band for a lot of this. It was produced by Quincy Jones, who passed away a couple of years ago, but he was a fantastic producer who produced Miles Davis and Thriller and a bunch of other records. But yeah, it's definitely one of the most important records of all time.
Yeah.
But there's a weird thing, though. The same month that this came out, and I also had this record, too. My aunt gave it to me. So this was the same year that E.T. came out, right? 1982. Yeah. So 1982 is the year E.T. came out. So 2 weeks before this album came out, a different record label, MCA. So Michael Jackson was on Sony, Epic, Columbia. He was on Epic, which is a Sony label. MCA had the rights to put out a storybook soundtrack to E.T. So before Thriller was a thing, they got Michael Jackson to do the narration for it, which is kind of weird if you think about it. So, yeah. I mean, not considering how big that he would be, but they hired Michael Jackson to read the storybook for E.T. for children. And then it had the music in the background, and then you kind of heard the sound. I have the record, and you kind of hear the sound the sound effects from it, and then you have like Michael Jackson describing everything that's going on in this movie, and then you're following along in the storybook, right? So there was a big controversy because Epic didn't want MCA to release this until after Thriller came out because they didn't want there to be 2 competing Michael Jackson albums, which is, I mean, I think would be fucking weird if you accidentally bought E.T. instead of Thriller, but whatever. But there was a lawsuit and they lost. So the album came out, the E.T. record came out 2 weeks before Thriller. So at the same time that Thriller came out, you had 2 competing like Michael Jackson records. One was an E.T. soundtrack essentially, and one was Thriller, with obviously Thriller is the much better record, right?
The long-lasting one.
But yeah, I just thought that was kind of weird. But there's some quotes from Michael that did not age well about the E.T. soundtrack, and I'm going to read them.
Oh boy, here we go.
He basically says he's in a strange place and wants to be accepted, which is a situation that I found myself in many times when traveling all over the world. He's most comfortable with children, and I have a great love for kids.
Oh boy.
He gives love, and he wants love in return, which is me. And that just did not really age well, considering everything that we find out about Michael Jackson later on.
Exactly. There you go.
But you know, I still have a lot of love for Michael, though. Like I don't know, I'm not sure Michael's guilty of all that shit. And I love Michael Jackson. And up until Thriller, the man could do no wrong. After Thriller, he just kind of went off the deep end a little bit. But I feel like Thriller is a fantastic record. If you like music in general, you should listen to it. I know you're a little bit younger than me, so you don't really remember when Thriller came out, but because it was before you were born. But like, what was your first experience of hearing that? And then I'll talk about my first experience hearing it.
Okay, so actually, funny story. So
right.
The way I found out about Michael Jackson was actually through all those parodies that Weird Al was doing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So like Eat It and
like Eat It, yeah. Like that's
there was another one, yeah.
Yeah, he did another one, but yeah, the Eat It one, it was the one I saw first. All right.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh shit, like because I liked the song as a kid. I was like, that's pretty funny. And I was like, oh shit, he did Michael Jackson. Then of course you start researching and following, and then I saw Thriller, and I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. It's like actually a pop song, but it's like a horror pop song, so it's kind of fun. And then next thing you know, every fucking Halloween party you go to, every club party we go to, at around Halloween time, you hear Thriller everywhere. Everywhere. I mean, you can even go to retail stores and hear Thriller. You go everywhere. During Halloween season, that shit plays over and over again. Okay? And to think that came out when NightBeast came out, God, what kind of world do we live in?
Exactly. There was way more money put into that Thriller video than NightBeast.
Yeah, the whole movie.
The whole movie. But yeah, so I was gonna say that's a good segue because I wanted to bring that up because so Thriller is credited as one of the first musical albums to use music video and MTV as a way to sell records. So before that, people didn't really know what to do with videos. They would make a video and then which was usually just them playing the song or something, and then it would play on MTV or whatever, but they didn't really understand how to use that to sell a record. And Thriller, the video for Thriller is a piece of art. I mean, that thing is amazing. It's directed by Joe Landis, who directed American Werewolf in London.
Yes.
If I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong about that. I'm pretty sure it is. I'm pretty sure he directed that. But anyway,
check it out in our
that thing is fantastic. So, I mean, it's a great werewolf movie in a 5-7 minute video or whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. And with the choreography and the choreography and everything that they do, and then the Michael turning into the werewolf at the end. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. But yeah, that's kind of how it fits into our show is like, it has a horror movie theme in the Thriller video, and Vincent Price is on
Price,
it.
Yes.
He talks and he's in Thriller. He speaks in it. So yeah. So anyway, Michael Jackson Thriller came out the day before this album came out, or this movie came out.
It's crazy.
And so we could have bought Thriller. Yeah, we could have bought Thriller, gotten the Trans Am, driven to the movies, and watched NightBeast maybe.
Well, obviously one of them aged good and one of them aged horrible. Okay.
Yes.
Gee, I wonder which one it was.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, people are definitely still listening to Thriller, and people like us are still watching NightBeast, apparently.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty interesting to see, like, let's see, 1982. So, Thriller. I mean, that has been a staple for Halloween time for generations.
Oh,
you know
yeah.
what I mean, it's pretty crazy to think that Michael Jackson in 1982 created something that would last for pretty much. It's probably going to last for like as long as we're still going to be alive, or eternally. People are just going to keep playing that Thriller and Thriller all over again during Halloween time.
Yeah,
and they ain't stopping anytime soon.
Nope, 100 years from now they'll still be playing Thriller at Halloween.
Yeah, and it's probably one of the most. I would say, like, out of the whole world, it's probably one of the most recognizable songs in the whole world. I would say.
I would say so. Yeah. So, absolutely. I would say you're absolutely right about that.
Pretty interesting stuff. What if Michael Jackson would have done the soundtrack to NightBeast? How do you think that would have went?
Oh man. Well, the soundtrack would have been better. That's for sure.
He would have like country vibe. Everybody's plaid shirt.
Yeah. That would have been fantastic. Like I would love to have heard the Michael Jackson soundtrack to that. He should have done that instead of E.T. to be honest with you.
Well, we know why I did the A.T. Yeah.
Exactly, to get around the kids.
I think we all figured that out. All right.
Yeah.
So let's get into the who booked this shit of NightBeast, brother.
Yeah, who booked this shit?
This one's kind of interesting. So first of all, I found this off the Peacock. All right, when I was researching some movies for us to do for It Came From Outer Space Month Part 2. And also, did you ever watch this before or knew anything about it before we?
No, I'd seen it. I'd not seen the movie, but I'd seen it on Peacock.
Yes.
And I thought it was a movie that we should do.
It looked cool.
We are.
It's one of those movies. It's one of those movies that we talk about here and there. That if you go to a Blockbuster or J.H. Allison's Rent-A-Center, you like the cover. It was all about the cover. If your cover looked cool, one of us is going to be renting that shit. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. I mean,
that's how
it was then. Like, I mean, that's how records sold too.
Yeah.
You had you got somebody to paint a really cool cover for your heavy metal record, and people bought it.
Yeah.
Like all those Iron Maiden records. The Metallica albums, the first 3 Metallica albums had really good painted covers. Judas Priest. And the same was true of movie posters and VHS covers. You painted got a good movie poster or a good VHS cover, and people are going to rent it. And sometimes they spent more time and money on the cover than they did the actual movie.
Yeah. And it's kind of interesting to think, too. Like, we could have a long discussion of how the marketing is so much different nowadays than it was in the 80s. Yeah. I mean, in the 80s, yes, they would do trailers and stuff. But the big thing also, too, was your movie poster. Like, how cool does your movie poster work? And I feel like, nowadays, we don't really focus too much on the movie poster, the artwork that goes into the design of the DVDs and stuff. Like, they still, if people buy physical media like we do, we like cool art covers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, it's like, it's not like we're going to be, like, buying a random steelbook just because the artwork looks cool, like they would do in the 80s. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, we would already probably know about the movie from reviews on YouTube or listen to two dicks like us talk about it. You know what I mean? Like, it's just way different, like, the marketing strategy. You know what I mean? Like, how it is in the 80s until now, how everything's more, like accessible. Now. Like, you can get everything now pretty easy. So, it's pretty interesting. So, let's talk a little bit about who booked this shit, brother. It was made by film director, let me get his full name over here, Donald Michael Dohler.
Sure.
I think I'm saying that right. Dohler?
That sounds good enough to me.
Dohler.
I don't really know how to say his name either, so yeah.
Donald Michael Dohler. All right. So he's been known to make a lot of like horror, low budget science fictional movies. Apparently he was actually born in Baltimore, Maryland, where I actually spent a year of myself living there.
Okay.
All right. I didn't see no NightBeast creature walking around when I was there, but I do remember there being a lot of forest area, so that part was correct. All right. So apparently he also died in the same town that he credited this movie being in, which is Perry Hall, Maryland.
Well,
so, very interesting.
I assumed that he lived in this town, which is why he just set it in this random town.
Yeah. You know what? I do that all the time. If I made my movies, I'd be wherever I'm fucking living at the time. It just makes it easier.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So the first movie he did was called The Alien Factor. Okay, It was a science fiction horror film. Okay, and apparently the plot to this film, which was made in 1979, the film centers on a small town that is being sieged by 3 aliens that have crash landed in the nearby forest. A mysterious stranger named Ben Zachary shows up claiming to be able to save the day. Can he do what he claims? That's the kind of like the title for the film. Okay. So I will say you something with this Don guy. He names everybody. Like, you know how a lot of times we watch horror films and like we won't get the name until like halfway through the film? This fucking guy named everybody, and most of their names are pretty funny. Like, we had Mary Jane in here. We had a Jack. We had a Lisa. All right, we had a Bert. Don't call me Bertie. A Jamie. Like, everybody was fucking named. Except for the alien creature. I guess I just named him the Beast.
Okay? The Beast. Yeah, the NightBeast.
So, let's see. So, apparently, this one over here, NightBeast, is basically like they used all the original cast from the Alien Factor to be on this movie. Okay, so a couple things about the movie was NightBeast features opening credits effects by Ernest D. Fernando and creatures was created by John Dobbs. Okay, so they're ones that did the opening credits and the feast and everything. Not all the cast, but most of the cast from the Alien Factor reprised their roles in NightBeast. Okay? And I think the most, we'll talk some trivia. We'll talk some more details here in a second. But I think the most interesting fact about NightBeast is apparently a very young 16-year-old J.J. Abrams of Star Wars fame. What else did he do? He did. Did he do? No. What else did he do? He did a lot. Star Trek. Yeah, he did some Star Trek.
He did Star Trek. He worked on that TV show Alias.
Yeah, Alias. You know, he did a bunch of shit.
Yeah, so he's done a bunch. But apparently, he was very young and he helped out with this movie.
Yes, apparently he was very young, and the story is that he. So Abrams became aware of Dohler from the article in local film magazines Cinemagic. Okay, so after Dohler and Abrams exchanged, they were like writing each other back and forth. Okay, Dohler asked Abrams if he would be interested in scoring the film, and of course James Abrams was like, "Oh yeah, I could do that." So while the film was being shot in Baltimore, Maryland, Abrams, who lived in Los Angeles, mailed his music tapes to Dohler to score the film. Can you believe that?
Well, that's how you had to do it then. Just send them through the mail.
One of the most famous nowadays sci-fi big action movie director, J.J. Abrams, who either saved Star Wars or killed it, whatever you all feel like.
Depends what you think.
It depends what you think. He is credited to be the music director on NightBeast, of all places. So that means if Retro Blood ever gets to go to a panel with J.J. Abrams, the only question we're going to ask is the NightBeast. The first question I would ask J.J. Abrams is, during the Jack and Lisa sex scene, how did you feel scoring that when you were 16? Let me know.
Yes. Well, also Robert Walsh worked on it too.
Yeah. So maybe he did the sex scene.
There were two, maybe. Yeah, he would just say, "Oh well, the other guy worked on it, maybe." But Robert Walsh did a whole lot of things. He worked on a bunch of cartoons.
Yeah.
He did the music for G.I. Joe and Transformers. So he's done a lot of stuff actually. But yeah, I thought that was weird. J.J. Abrams, under the name Jeffrey Abrams, did helped do the music for this.
Yeah,
which is just really, really odd. I mean, it's weird to think, right? It's one of those things where you think it's not really true, but maybe it is.
So a couple of facts about the movie, which I thought were fun. Apparently, our boy director Don, he apparently did not like nudity. All right, even though we got a couple titties in here.
Yeah,
he didn't like nudity. He didn't like extreme violence and gore, which obviously this movie had a bunch of that in here. But he was reluctant, and he acknowledged that the audience enjoyed this type of stuff, so that's why he included it into his NightBeast film. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess he's more of a PG. Well, he should have just worked on E.T. then, if he wanted some PG alien shit. All right.
Yeah, and had Steven Spielberg direct this movie.
Yeah,
with the same budgets.
Imagine that. Boy, just imagine the acting in that E.T. would have been horrible. All right, so the monster spacesuit was actually a motorcycle range suit, so that's why it looked all silver like that. Some additional scenes involving the gore and full nudity were filmed after principal shooting had wrapped in order to pad out the running time to a reasonable feature-length film. Which this was only like an hour and 20. Usually we do movies that are late to an hour and 30. So.
Yeah. Like I said, I think 90 minutes is good.
Yeah.
So, I looked up these numbers while you were talking.
Yeah.
So the budget for this movie was $14,000.
Oh, shit. Okay.
The budget for Michael Jackson's Thriller music video was $500,000.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
There you go. And which one last? For the tale of time, brother.
We're still talking about both of them. We're still in
there you go.
2025 talking about NightBeast. 100 years from now, when we're dead and people are watching our show on whatever the future YouTube is,
yes,
we can talk about how we were still watching NightBeast in 2025.
Still doing it, man. We're still trying to avoid being lasered and turning into edited dust. Okay.
Man, I love the lasers in this.
So apparently, both the sheriff and the deputy's uniforms were left over from the Alien Factor, so they just reused the costumes, which not surprising. Why would you?
That's not surprising.
I use my same shit all the time. So, like I was saying, the special effects were from Ernest. Okay, this guy? I mean, he actually had some pretty good special effects career after he did this movie. So he was created the title effects for the Terminator. 1984, The Abyss, 1989. He did Terminator 2 Judgment Day. And the creature was created by John Dobbs, which we talked about as well, too. And he has been credited for working on Ghostbusters 2, Alien Resurrection, and The X-Files. So,
wow.
You know what I mean? Sometimes all you need is to get that one project. You know what I mean? Just to get you some experience, and you can just blow up from there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure that that guy that did the title sequences was he got to where he knew James Cameron, I'm sure, and that's how he got those gigs. But I mean, those title sequences are all great, so he did a good job.
So let's talk about Lisa, the deputy of our movie over here. So this is kind of a funny story. So Karen Cardin's. That was Lisa. Only role and nude scene. Okay. She was the hairdresser. So how she got the film was she was the hairdresser of Don. Okay. She was the hairdresser of Don's aunt. Okay. So it says here. She found out about the film from his aunt and asked to audition. Dohler liked her and cast her immediately. After principal shooting was completed, the distributor told Dohler that the film needed nudity. So Trauma was like, brother, there ain't no titties in here. Where are the titties at? Do you want to bring the 18 to 34 males? Where they at, brother? Where are the titties? All right, and then after this happened, okay, so Dohler went back to Cardin and asked if she'd be willing to film a sex scene. All right.
Yeah.
He says in the DVD commentary that he found this task to be very awkward. All right. To his shock and relief, she said, "Sure." I was like, "Brother, you give a girl in the '80s some money to do it. You know what I mean? It's not.
I guess so."
Bad. So on the day of the filming, Dohler said that she only had to be topless, but Cardin said she wasn't shy and stripped off all her clothes to film a full naked scene. This girl was ready to go. All right. Maybe our boy Jack was like, getting her kind of hard with that stash. You know what I mean?
Maybe, yeah.
He had some nice hair. Even though when he took her shirt off, I was like, brother, put that shit back on. Okay. She told Dohler afterwards that it was exciting and a lot of fun. Don also went to Monica Neef about filming nude. She was more reluctant, but finally agreed and ended up going full nude too. Which one would that? Who was the other nude girl? Was that the one that played Mary Jane?
She was the girl that got attacked by Drago.
Oh yeah, that's right. The Asian one. Okay, gotcha. Okay, so yeah, there you go. So he was shy about doing it, but maybe he just convinced him. You know what I mean? Here's an extra $100. There you go.
Here's an extra $100 because we only have $14,000 to make this whole thing. We've already spent $10,000 on the alien.
Yep. All right. So apparently, sample of music are borrowed from the incredible Melting Man, 1977. Okay, that's interesting. And apparently, this was the only lead role for Jamie Zerminal in a movie, who was the guy who played Jack. And to be honest with you, thank God, because he was horrible. Even though he did have my favorite line of the movie, which I'll talk about during our breakdown. He did have the best line. Okay. Oh my God.
Okay.
So sure. NightBeast, like I said, the music wasn't that bad. I thought the scoring of the music wasn't that bad. I did think the effects that they had, mostly at the beginning, were pretty cool. Like when they would shoot, when the beast would shoot stuff with his laser gun, and then the stuff would disappear. Looks like it gets edited out of the screen. I also did like the way the beast kind of looked. You know what I mean? I thought he looked kind of, he wasn't like, the scariest thing you've ever seen, but I thought he did okay. And I thought the movie had this movie did have some charm, but I don't know where the acting lessons came in because, godly, it was horrible on the acting.
There were no acting lessons involved in this. They just got whoever they could get to be in this thing.
They just showed up and
one of them was a hairdresser, for God's sakes, and she was actually one of the better people in this movie.
I know. She was hilarious. So, but everybody, I say let's get into it. Let's start off this It Came From Outer Space month part 2. Let's get into the NightBeast.
Let's do it.
From another galaxy. From another world. Comes the embodiment of fear.
What the hell was that?
NightBeast. Terror from beyond. A high-tech warrior from a distant planet. A killing machine with a taste for human flesh. A community abandoned in a code of silence.
Wicker never even called us state. They don't even know we have a bad situation here.
A love affair.
You know you're a very attractive girl, Lisa.
Two people brought together by the urgency of the moment. Two people torn apart by the savage fury of NightBeast.
I'm sorry, Jamie. There was nothing that could be done.
The most vicious creature to ever span the intergalactic void has come to pay its respects. This is the story of how the little people answer the big questions. See the movie that will change the face of modern science fiction cinema. NightBeast.
So we open up the film with some cool looking space shots. You know what I mean? Pretty simple. We just see the stars in space. We see some credits. We have some cool little creepy music in the background stuff. I liked it. I thought this is pretty good opening. You know what I mean? It's very simple. Sometimes simple is good when you do these stuff.
Sometimes simple is very good. And then we see the spaceship.
Hey, you know what? It's 1980s effect. You know what I mean? I mean, this ain't no Star Wars, but
this ain't no Star Wars. I'm pretty sure that the spaceship was on a coat hanger. I'm pretty sure it was attached to a coat hanger, and then they were moving it.
So the coat hanger spaceship hits an asteroid, which is probably paper mache. All right? Yeah. And then the ship lands on the Earth, and I swear this ship blew up for like fucking hours. I mean, how much fucking
that? They got to get that 80 minutes, man.
How much you said this film cost? 14,000.
$14,000.
So 10,000 was this scene right here. This fucking ship blowing up forever. All right, and then there's this camper guy in a flannel. And his two other friends are in flannels too. And the guy's like, first of all, the ship crashed. He's like, holy shit. And then they cut. Ship blows up a little bit, blows up, and his back's like, y'all see this? And I was like, so you're telling me this thing is like going off like a nuclear bomb, and his two friends are still sleeping? What kind of beer do they have, and how can I get some of that?
They were down. They were out.
Fucking down. All right. And then after the explosion kind of stops, and I actually thought this was like the coolest shot of the Beast, the whole movie, is when they had the Beast arise from his ship and like that smoke was everywhere, and they kind of did that cool like fog effect. You know what I mean? Where you can kind of see it's like a shadow and stuff. They should just use that the whole movie. You know what I mean?
Yes, I completely agree.
All right.
If they just made it look like that the whole time.
All right. So now this guy comes in, tells our sheriff Jack that, hey, there's some I didn't know the guy's name at the time, so I just call him Plaid-Shirt. Okay. So this Plaid-Shirt guy tells Jack that something fell out of the sky and is like, you gotta go check it out. It's near Orange Cliff. All right. So then they look out and they see like this blue looking like flame out there, which I actually thought looked pretty cool too. All right. And the Pete, okay, is a guy's name is Pete. Okay, I guess that's the flannel shirt guy. All right, and he's not sure if it's a bird or what's going on. Okay, and now Pete wants Jack to call deputy, but Jack doesn't want to call deputy, but he ends up calling deputy, and this is our deputy girl. Her name is going to be Lisa. Okay, and she's getting ready, and now she's coming down to check it out too. Okay, so we have the guy at the beginning with the flannel shirt, Jared. All right, looking around, and I know these names now because literally, like the cool thing I did like about this film is everybody was named. Hey Jared, hey Pete, hey everybody's just named. There's so many names I couldn't even keep up with the fucking names. All right, so Jared's looking around. His friend joins him, and then he keeps calling out, Jerry, where you at, Jerry? And then the Beast lasers him. Have you ever been lasered, Alison?
Man, more of the times than I want to admit.
So,
but never lasered like this, where I just disappear out of the film altogether.
Well, it was kind of weird. Like, so you get lasered, right? And then like you turn into like this like edited like it's like a red suit, and then you just disappear.
Yeah. Right.
All right. So I thought you just get photoshopped out of the film, basically.
Except Photoshop didn't exist then, but yes.
Exactly. So you just Photoshop him out of the screen, you're good to go. All right, so then his friends see the reflection of Jerry. Jerry is Jared, by the way. Jared, that's his government name. His party name is Jerry. Okay?
Right.
They see him, his like reflection on there. They don't know what the hell's going on. And then they get lasered, and then they get Photoshopped out of the film. Okay?
Yeah.
So then we have this guy named Dave. It's a new character. Stops in his car to go take a piss. The kids are there. The kids see the kids go up to see Dave. Their uncle Dave. That's their uncle.
Right.
He tells the kids to get back in the car. They want to check on to see if Dave, because he's taking too long to piss. And then they see Dave's dead because the Beast has not lasered Dave, but he has attacked him. So the Beast doesn't just laser everybody. It actually attacks people as well too. Okay, so it's a multi-beast. You know what I mean? It does multi things.
Exactly. You have to be multifaceted night beast in these days.
So the Beast starts following the kids. The kids runs away. They find a house. All right, and there's this couple in there, young couple kissing. All right, guy trying to get himself some. All right. Then the girl who's kissing says she hears noises of somebody running up. So the guy, whose name is Clyde, like I said, they name everybody in this fucking movie. So Clyde's outside. He's got a shotgun. All right. He's walking around with a shotgun, looking around. Kids see Clyde. All right. And then Clyde opens the door to the back barn-looking area. And then the Beast shows up, and the Beast basically just rips his fucking face off. So we already got maybe 3 or 4 kills already. I mean, this is like fucking Friday the 13th part 4 level shit right here.
I know we're good. It's getting going pretty quick.
This Donald guy was like, I gotta give them what they want. Murder.
Death.
All they want is murder. That's it, brother. We don't want fuck the acting. We just want them to get their face ripped off.
Exactly.
All right. So then the girl comes out and then she gets killed too. But we only see her like kind of get killed off screen a little bit with blood dripping down her legs. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So the kids are not running. They run all the way back to the car where their uncle was in, and then no shit, the fucking beast shows up and he lasers the car. The car gets lasered.
Yep, that's fantastic. I love it.
Are you not sports entertained by the laser car?
I am. I love it, man. I'm telling you, I love the lasers in this. My favorite part.
I thought the lasers are cool looking.
The lasers are great. Love it.
Well, how would you feel if you got lasered?
Bad. That's why I like to see other people get lasered. That's why I'm enjoying all these other people.
You know what,
lasering.
Alice? I think we need more lasers in films now. That's what they're missing.
We
nowadays.
do. That's the way more. Hell yeah, we need lasers in this show.
Yeah. Oh, you know what?
Yeah, awesome. We need to add lasers to the. Yeah.
Like
you could just add lasers from my fingers.
You know what? Like you know how we see the 80s blue lightning happen all the time, like the radiant powers.
Yeah.
But I kind of like the 80s lasers a little bit. I think they're pretty cool looking. Okay.
I do too. Where they're animated in.
Yeah.
I love that.
So now the sheriff shows up and his crew. All right, they arrive and everything. Fantastic. And then, we get a big shootout. And we're like 13 minutes into the film. I'm like, oh shit, this is getting pretty intense. So they have a laser gun shootout in Maryland.
Yeah.
In 1982. That's a place.
Well, the cops don't have lasers. They have regular guns.
Yeah, they have
the Beast has a laser. Yeah, he's shooting them with laser guns. Yeah.
So a lot of people are getting lasered out. One of the tasks from Pete was he said he's going to round up the locals. And he's going to bring them out here to look for what's going on. Because, this is a small town, brother. We only have 2 cops on staff. That's why you got to bring in the locals. They'll take care of the business, brother. They're the citizens.
Yeah, exactly. They'll just kill whoever you need to kill.
My gun, brother. All right.
Back in the backwoods.
And then so what they remind me of? So they all have plaid shirts on. Like all these guys, they're just like random shooters. They all have plaid shirts on. You know what it reminded me of?
Yeah.
It reminded me in Star Trek where you would always have the guys in the red shirt. They would be like the first to die. So in this film, it was the guys in the plaid.
They're all flannel shirts.
Shirts.
And they're going to get killed first. Exactly. That's great.
They all got killed first. I was cracking up when I was watching that shit.
That's great.
Like I said, this movie had some charm to it. The dialogue sucked, basically. Okay.
Yeah, it did. It did.
So all these flannel guys are getting lasered out and stuff. All right. And Pete tries to sneak attack the Beast, but he fucks up and the Beast fucking claws his face to death. All right. Mm-hmm. And then another plaid shirt guy gets lasered. We're just getting lasered plaid shirts everywhere. All right. The sheriff and Lisa, and then Jamie, they decided to hit the bricks and get on out of there. So back at the office, they don't know what the hell's going on. All right. And they're saying it's going to be light pretty soon, so maybe they can see the Beast better in the light. All right. And then they're like, okay, well, I'm going to call Bill and his son. And they're like, well, why are you calling Bill and his son? Well, because Bill and his son, they're the best shot in town. So,
fantastic. So they can kill the Beast.
So that's how they got into the film, because they're the best shots in town. Okay.
Exactly. Well, you need those kind of people when you're taking care of alien beasts.
So now Jamie gets a call from George. From George Michael. And I was like, fucking George Michael. Wait, what is he calling here for?
The faith guy?
Yeah. I guess.
You got to have faith, the faith.
So that's why I put in my notes. I laughed out loud. Okay. And then George Michael said somebody that hit his car. And it was some sort of thing, which is supposed to be the Beast. But I guess George Michael didn't die. Maybe he sang to him.
Maybe.
You know what I mean?
Told them that they had to have faith and they needed a father figure.
Exactly.
That's the only 2 George Michael songs I can think of off the top of my head.
Didn't he do the Careless Whisper one?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, when he was in Wham. Yeah, he was in his group called Wham, and they did Careless Whisper.
I mean, we could have used that song a couple times in here.
Yeah, and Wake Me Up Before You Go.
Yeah,
that was also
there you go.
Wham song. Yeah, so
now
Michael Jackson and Wham in the same show.
My God, can you believe it? We're just popping all out over here.
What does George Michael have to say?
Yeah. Well, he only said somebody tried to hit his car. That's it.
Right.
So now the sheriff and Lisa, they go walking near this. They're walking outside right now, daylight, and they're basically walking in the forest near a house. All right. And Jack tells Lisa to run, and because they're going up close to like this barn house. Okay. But Jack kind of sees from his eye like the beast, so he says, "Hey, run! Let's get out of here. It's too quiet." So then the beast starts shooting lasers at him. Jamie, Bill, and his son arrive. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then Bill, only line was, "Wow." It's like Jack, what? He's like, Jack. I can't even say that. I can't even say it like he did. All right. He's like, what in the goddamn thing is that, Jack? What is that thing? All right.
And then, that sounds as good as he delivered the line.
Then Jack was like, I just need you to get it. And he's like, you bet your ass I will. All right. So Bill and his son Jimmy, that's his name. John's name is Jimmy. Like I said, we name everybody in this film, except for that. There's one girl we don't name in here, but we'll get to her. So they have a plan. So Jimmy's gonna draw them out while Bill shoots at him. All right. So they all
great plan.
Yes, that's the plan. Remember, he's the best shot in town. All right.
Yeah, exactly.
So they shoot. So they're all firing at it. The beast is shooting his laser beams at everybody. Okay. And basically, the beast lasered Jimmy. So Bill gets super upset. So Bill uses his great shooting technique to actually shoot the laser out of the beast's hand. So the laser gun's now destroyed. And of course, now he's super upset that his son is dead. All right. And now this Jack is talking with Bert, talking about his party with the governor. Okay, so basically, the scene is after Bill shoots the thing, the beast laser falls, and the beast runs away. Okay, and then Bill is obviously upset because his son got lasered. All right, and then we cut the scene, and now we're meeting a new guy. We're meeting the mayor around town.
Yes.
Okay, which is Bert. Don't call me Bertie.
Don't call me Bertie.
And his squeezed Mary Jane, which I appreciated. Ooh. Mary Jane, either your favorite smoke at nighttime or your favorite Peter Parker girlfriend, one of the two.
Yeah, which are both probably named after the same thing.
Exactly. All right. So, our boy Bertie, all right, wants to do a party because the governor is coming into town and he wants to impress him. Jack tells him, don't have this party. We need to get the fuck out of here because something is killing the town.
Because the goddamn alien killing everybody. So we need to have a party.
And basically, they kept going back and forth like in this horrible acting the whole time. Right. The gist of it is basically Bert agrees to do it, but he's not really going to do it because he wants his party to happen, and Jack is trying to put the law down, but the Bert guy basically is not listening. Okay. All right. So now Jack talks to Lisa, all right, and says the mayor's not evacuating the town, all right. Basically, the mayor is not going to physically tell the town to evacuate. So Jack and Lisa are going to do it their own. They're going to tell the town to evacuate. Okay.
Which always works.
Yes.
If we learned anything from Jaws, definitely, the people telling you to evacuate always works.
Oh yeah, all over. They always leave. Well, in Maryland they kind of did.
Absolutely.
We didn't see that many people. We only saw a couple.
That's true.
We only saw a couple more plaid shirts show up. Okay?
That's because they couldn't afford as many extras as they could for Jaws. But anyway.
Yeah. All right, so now Jack, all right. So now they split up, okay, and Jack is gonna go. Yeah. There's like this body he needs to go find. They're trying to go find the body of one of the people during the gunfight that they thought was still alive. Okay. So then they go and they stare at the ashes of that person who they thought was still alive, but that guy's not dead. And of course, they brought out the scientist guy. He's out there too, who really showed up for this scene, and then he basically left. Okay, which was a completely useless scene to do
because he evacuated.
All right?
Yeah.
So they're not sure. They're also too. They're not sure if this guy got, because they're kind of like. They saw people get lasered, but they didn't see them like, they thought maybe they found a body or something, but there was no bodies. The only thing they found was like these ash imprints. Okay.
Yeah. Where they got lasered.
Exactly. So they're not sure if, at the time they weren't sure if there's bodies still going to be there or not. But then the scientist guys, he found the ashes, and there he's going to go, check on them and stuff. So they both, Jack and then Steve, leave. Actually, sorry. The scientist guy was named Steve, and he actually does show up a lot more into this movie. Steven. Okay?
Steven.
So now we see a biker dude, Drago. I was like, where the fuck is this coming from? And why do we even have this?
This was great.
I put in my notes his acting, which I put a big question mark behind.
Yeah.
He basically...
So he...
go ahead.
I was going to say, like, his I was going to say his whole job was just to be the villain, right?
Yeah, I guess.
Other than the alien
villain.
He's like the villain of the show. He's the movie. He's the one to keep everybody from being on the same page, basically. But he's like a biker who is all about the outlaw lifestyle, and he beats people up and sexually assaults people, and he's a bad guy.
Yeah. So Drago, basically he called sheriff. Sheriff tells him to evacuate. Drago says no. He also says, "Hey, where's that hot lesbian? Oh no, sorry. Where's that hot Lisa deputy girl you got coming out here? I bet she puts out, brother. All right, I bet she's good in the sack."
Wow.
All right. So now he goes away. Drago does, and then Jack gets a call from Ben. All right. And they found some bodies that are like half eaten, which are Clyde and that girl. So now Jack needs Dr. Ruth's help. So we have a new character, Ruth. So Ruth and Steven are kind of like they're not a couple, but they kind of like work together. Okay.
Right.
And Ruth is like, "Hey, I know you want everybody to evacuate, but can I still go to the mayor's party?" And then Jack's like, "The mayor's still doing that party?" She's like, "Yeah." I was like, okay. So now we see that we have we find out that there's some drama going on in NightBeast. Can you believe that? Some drama in NightBeast.
Shocking. I know. I really like the drama though.
So apparently Jamie is shocking up with Drago's squeeze.
Yes.
All right.
So the murderous biker.
Yes.
So he's cheating. So he's fucking the girlfriend of the murderous biker.
Yes.
Good idea.
And apparently the murderous biker Drago found out. So we see that he's back talking to his girl, which he wasn't really named. But we did see her naked, and she was pretty. She was a looker. I appreciated it.
Yeah.
And he's like telling her like, "Hey, I know you're sleeping with Jamie and everything and stuff." And he calls her a bitch and everything. He leaves on the bike. She just gets naked. I was like, okay, I can see it.
Well, so all right. So she's
changing clothes. She's changing clothes.
Right. So he threatens her, and then she's changing clothes, and then Jamie and the sheriff go by and see her.
Yeah. And basically, Jamie was telling them, because remember, they're telling the town to evacuate, so they're telling her to evacuate, and she's going to come with them. Okay?
Well,
go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yeah, they're going to come back for her, or like, she's getting her stuff ready and stuff. But during this, while she's getting her stuff ready, Drago comes in, all right? And because Drago sees the Jamie talking to her and stuff, he gets pissed off. He comes in, he basically strangles her to death.
Because apparently he just goes and hides in the woods. Yeah. Like when he leaves.
Yeah.
He just goes across like the road and hides in the woods. Yeah. But yeah, so basically Jamie goes in and talks to her and then tells her that she needs to get out.
Yeah.
And then he goes back and talks to the sheriff, and then he says, "Oh, she'll be ready to go in 5 minutes."
Which is
but
weird.
Instead of them waiting on her,
they just leave
and taking her with him, leave, and then the world's worst cops, and then they just leave, and then Drago comes back and kills her.
Exactly. Like I was like, you didn't hear anything. You didn't hear struggling going on. Like you just left.
No.
Like what the fuck?
Yep. Nothing.
Like you knew he
she'll
had
be fine. I'm sure.
You knew the girl was dating some asshole and shit. Like oh my god.
Yeah. I mean, they knew that she'd already been threatened by him like 5 minutes ago.
Yeah. So now we see
so quickly that he's still hiding in the woods.
Exactly.
But anyway.
So now we see all these kids at the pool. Obviously, they're at Bert. Don't call me Bertie's party. All right.
Yep.
And the governor shows up and says stuff. And the governor does say like, "Hey, I was expecting to see a little bit more people in town." And the mayor's like, "Oh, don't worry, they're all sleeping." All right. And most of the cool ones are out here at my party anyway. All right. Hey.
Yeah, because it's 8 a.m. on a Saturday, so they're all asleep.
Yeah. So he's like, "Hey, come meet Mary Jane. Here she comes."
Yeah.
All right. Then we meet the governor's assistant, Philip, who is kind of a prune because he doesn't drink. All right. Then Jack arrives to spoil the party. All right. Bert goes talk to him right away. He says like Jack says, "Call this off. We got to call off right now. You got to evacuate right now." All right.
Yeah.
All right. And then Bert's like, "No, we got to keep it going. It's all good." So they're going back and forth on that. Then Jamie shows up, goes on the dive board, shoots a couple rounds because he's a crazy man, and says, "Everybody needs to get out of here. We had a big poison gas leak happen. So y'all need to leave here and leave town now."
That's right. That's the excuse they're giving. They're not telling everybody there's an alien night beast. They're telling people there's a poison gas leak and they need to get the fuck out of town. And everybody freaks out and starts swimming and to get out of the pool.
Yep. They all get on out of there. But except for Bert and Mary Jane, they stay behind. Governor's pissed. He thinks Mayor knew about this the whole time, but he still let him come anyway. And that's why there was no people around. So the governor's all pissed off. Bert's now says he's ruined. All right.
Yeah.
So then we cut to Ted, another new guy. I gotta say, this Don guy, he definitely found a cast. Okay, he must have found everybody in Maryland just like, "Hey, brother, you want to jump in this movie?" All right.
Yeah, he could just be in it. I need another person. Can you fit in this costume?
Yeah.
Sure.
So Ted now goes out to his car because he's getting one of these patients at this hospital that Ruth and Stephen work out. He's getting him some whiskey. And while he gets him some whiskey, the NightBeast shows up and rips out his fucking arms. So there goes Ted.
That was fantastic because they take him to the hospital or whatever, and they're like, "I'm gonna go get him some whiskey," and they're like, "Don't give him whiskey," and then he goes out to the car to get the whiskey, and then that's when the NightBeast kills him.
So they're probably like nurses and shit that worked at the hospital. So now, then the other two dudes that were with him, they also get I just put in my notes, they get their ass whipped by the NightBeast as well. All right.
Yeah.
So now Ruth calls Jack, all right, and says Ted got killed, all right, and Jack and Lisa, they're not nearby, but they said Jamie's nearby. He comes in his dirt bike and he'll get there. We had to have Jamie looking cool on his dirt bike to get there. All right.
Yes.
So now we have Stephen and Ruth. They're both hiding from the beast, hiding for the NightBeast. All right. Stephen is trying to look around to see if the beast is gone. I like this part. Stephen sees the beast. Like he opens the door and he sees the beast. We see the beast's head, and Stephen's like, "Okay," closes the door and just goes back.
I mean, that's exactly what I would do. Like, all right, I'm going back to bed. Yeah. Close the door.
So he goes down there, all right, and now the beast has followed him, and then basically Stephen's like, "Okay, I got it." They hide, right? They're hiding for the beast, while the beast comes into where they're hiding at, and Stephen's like, "Hey, be quiet. I got an idea." All right. So Stephen is now going to lay a electrical trap to trap the beast. Okay.
This is great.
So he basically like cuts a wire, and then he just pours a bunch of water on it, and then the NightBeast steps on it and gets shocked a little bit. So now we can tell as an audience that electricity can hurt the beast. Bullets can't, but electricity can.
Exactly. And the wire looks basically like a rope that they cut in half.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
To put on the ground. Yeah.
And then, of course, they edited in the 80s Blue Lightning, which I like.
Mm-hmm. And then when he's being electrocuted or whatever, I'm pretty sure they just put a strobe light underneath his mask.
Yeah.
Like underneath him, and just flashed a strobe light on him so he looked like he's being electrocuted.
It makes it look like he's getting...
That's awesome.
So
with
Jamie,
sparklers on the ground.
Jamie finally arrives, missed all the action. Ruth tells Jamie what happened. All right. They need to get the bodies that are inside. All right. So now this other guy shows up, just a random dude, and he tells Jamie that Drogo killed the woman.
Yeah.
So now
and if they hadn't left her behind, she'd still be alive.
Yes, exactly. So it basically was his fault. All right. Let's see. So Ruth, basically said, like, they believe that she got choked to death. All right. And they're like thinking, who could have done this dastardly thing? Oh, I don't know. Maybe her crazy biker, crazy boyfriend. All right. But of course, Jamie is like, I know who did it. So now we have Drogo. He's drinking a beer. Jamie shows up and whoops his ass. All right. But then they start fighting back and forth. But then Drogo ends up whooping his ass. Okay. And Jamie then again whoops his ass, and he starts smashing Drogo's head into the ground.
Yeah, okay. The fight choreography in this is the worst thing about this movie for sure.
That's for sure.
Like the scene where Drogo's trying to hit him with a stick or whatever.
Yeah.
But he's not like swinging it like it's not even a situation where like we're gonna choreograph this where I'm gonna swing it and you're gonna duck. He's like just swinging it up in the air like this, like where he's not gonna hit anybody.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my god, this is fucking terrible.
And they do the thing. They do like the punches where like you go.
They definitely need to develop a working punch, as they would say in wrestling.
Hey brother, get that working punch going. So now Lisa tells Jack that she sees something on the road. It looks like a body. All right, this is when we see Clyde's dead body on the road. Okay. And then the Beast shows up, and then of course Jack and Lisa, they run. All right, and then this is when we have Jack. He falls into the forest. He hurts his leg. All right. I put in my notes, Lisa, a bad actress. She says something. I could barely even hear what she says. All right. So Jack gets up. He limps around. Lisa's running. All right. Jack's leg's all fucked up. And he runs into Lisa. And Lisa's like, okay, well, the station is too far away, but my house is close to here. Let's go to my house so we can fix up your leg. Okay?
Yeah.
So now she sits Jack on the bed. Okay? And she just grabs his pants. He's like, oh, well, what are you doing? She's like, I got to take off your pants to see what the wound looks like so I can heal it. All right? And Jack, a little bit embarrassed, she's like, okay, go on then. So she takes off the pants and everything. She starts, helping out his leg. And then she's like, oh, you know what? I got to get out of these clothes.
And then she takes all her clothes off for some reason.
And then she's like, okay. She's like, I got to take off these clothes. I'm going to go take a shower. And she just gets naked in front of him.
Yeah.
All right. And then Jack's like, oh, shit, okay. So Jack.
It was at this moment, speaking of George Michael, it was at this moment that I thought Careless Whisperer was going to start.
Exactly. That's what I'm telling you, brother. Yeah, we had George Michael on here. This would have been perfect, brother. All right.
That would have been perfect.
So Jack's laying down, right?
Yeah.
Our girl Lisa comes back. And she's all like, hey, you're doing okay over there? And then Jack's like, you know what? I've been working with you for a while, and you're a very pretty girl. I never noticed.
Never noticed.
And she was all like, oh, you never noticed before? It's like, you know what? I noticed now. And then they start kissing. I'm like, brother, I was born in the wrong era. You know what I mean? Did you see what this fucking dude looked like? This Jack? He had the worst
with the curly
looking
hair.
stash. Yeah. And then he's all like this.
Terrible.
Bro, then he's like this. He's like, can I take my shirt off? I was like, brother, please don't. She's like, yes, as long as I can take my towel off. I'm like, let's take her towel off. And brother, you keep that shit on. Okay? Did you see this guy? He looked like a buck nothing. I'm like, brother, put that shit back on. All right?
He needs to get in the gym.
Golly. I was like, what is going on here? And apparently that girl actress, she was all down for doing this. So I was like, okay.
Oh, yeah.
So he grabbed it. He grabbed her ass. I saw it. I was done the same thing. And then they had something that looked like softcore porn, but it's like, they're just like rubbing each other. They're not really like, we don't see anything penetration going on.
Exactly.
So they're doing their stuff. So now we cut to Mary Jane being drunk. All right. She wants another drink from Bertie. Bertie's like, don't call me Bertie, it's Bert. That's their gimmick. And of course, he still thinks he's ruined because his party got all fucked up. And then Mary Jane tells him, hey, you should write the governor a letter or have somebody do it. That's what you politician guys do.
Yeah.
Okay. So then the door rings. It's Steven. All right. He asks, hey, why are you two still in town? And she's like, well, why are you still in town? And I was like, that's a great question. Why is he still in town? All right.
Good point.
So Mary Jane's drunk and she wants Steven to stay and have fun. And I thought for a second we were going to have a sex scene right here because this set it up like a porn right here. So Mary Jane's drunk. Steven comes out. He sees that Bert is passed out. And Mary Jane's like, hey, don't worry about it. He's passed out, but you can sit right here and let's have some fun. I was like, oh, shit. I mean, this movie was getting... I mean, God...
That's getting serious.
Our boy Don, he didn't like this stuff, but he's taking this to the extreme now. But our boy Steven, I guess he's all about the old women, Ruth. And he basically says, like, he's drunk and you're passed out. You all need to get out of here. And Mary doesn't want to leave. It's basically she's too drunk to leave. And she wants Steven to join the party. He brings up Jack. She wants Jack to join the party. She just wants everybody to join the party. Steven gets a call from Jack. Tells him they're not out of there yet. He's all pissed off and he's about to show up there. They try to get him all out because they're too drunk to leave, basically. So Steven's fed up with all this shit, so he leaves. Okay. Now Mary Jane still wants to party. She doesn't know where everybody's at. All right. She can party with the retro blood if she wants to. We'll have a good time. All right.
Always. Love partying with Mary Jane.
Yeah, buddy. All right, so now she hears a noise. She thinks it might be Steven or Jack. She walks around. Of course, it's the Beast. She screams. Bert wakes up. He's looking around now. He walks into the room where Mary Jane was in. He sees her dead on the floor with her guts all ripped out. Yep. Then the Beast grabs him, and the Beast rips off the fakest looking head I've ever seen in horror films.
Oh, it was bad.
Did you see that?
I'm pretty sure it was paper mache. Yeah, it was made out of paper mache.
Yeah, it looked exactly like a paper mache shit.
Yep.
So Jack and Lisa finally show up after fucking. All right. Jack looks downstairs. Lisa looks upstairs. Jack finds Bert and Mary dead. Lisa comes down, says she couldn't find anything. Jack's like, okay, well, let's get on out of here. You don't want to see this. All right, so they get on out of there. They go back to the station. Basically, Jack calls the city or whatever, and apparently the mayor never gave an evacuation order or never got the federal government involved. So Jack was all pissed off. Yeah, shocking. He was all pissed off about it. So they're like, hey, we're defeated. We got to get out of here now, out of this town. And then Jamie's like, well, I got an idea. How about we electrocute it? And they're like, and he has a plan to go get the, because they said like, oh yeah, this plan will work because we saw Steven told me that they electrocuted it and it hurted it. So maybe one final plan we can have is we can go to the electric facility and grab some electric coils and see if we can shock the Beast to death with the coils.
This is amazing. This is an amazing plan.
So we got science on this film too. All right,
science.
All you haters out there. All right, this is not about sex and nudity and gore. It's about science.
It's about science. It's about teaching the kids how to defeat an alien NightBeast.
So the plan is to basically grab the electric coil and to set it up around Root's house because Root's house, the Beast has been there before, so he'll know to go back there. Okay?
Right.
So they get to the electric plant. All right? They all go in. Of course, they leave Lisa behind. You know what I mean? Hey, Lisa, you're the dumb blonde on the team. How about you wait here? And maybe nothing will happen to you. Okay?
They leave her just standing outside by the car.
Exactly.
There's all these scenes of like her like playing with her fingernails and twiddling her thumbs.
Yeah.
While she's
so we
waiting.
have the old killer stalking scene. We also have the old Halloween first person view scene going here.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually, out of nowhere, Drago's back. He's not dead. He's still alive. And he starts choking Lisa and biting her and punching her and shit for absolutely no reason. Jack hears something. He now goes up next to Drago. They start fighting. He gets overwhelmed by Drago. Drago has the gun on him. But of course, Jamie is now back for revenge because he was tapping that sweet Asian pussy. All right, before Drago killed it. And then now Jamie has shotgunned Drago out. And now Drago is dead in the chest. How'd you feel about our boy Drago leaving, Alison?
Oh, man. Well, you know, that's kind of... Yeah, exactly. What a character. But that's kind of how the story goes, right? You got to get revenge on the bad guy for killing your girlfriend. Even if she is the bad guy's girlfriend and she's cheating on him with you.
Who do you think was more threatening? Drago from this movie or Jeff from Blood Lake?
Oh, Drago.
You think I don't know, man. Don't be hating on my boy Jeff from the Blood Lake.
Yeah, don't hate on Blood Lake.
Yeah, don't hate on the Blood Lake.
That should be we should have a shirt that says "Don't hate on Blood Lake."
We need a bunch of shirts already, bro. All right,
we should have a store of shirts. We are.
We'll get some up there. That'd be kind of fun. I got a couple ideas for some shirts of some random shit we said across the. All right, so no shit. Okay, so this part was hilarious to me. I don't know why. So after they kill Drago, right? Ruth and all them go to Lisa. Okay, and they're talking about Lisa. Lisa's okay. Like, she didn't die. She didn't get choked out like the other girl did. She's okay.
Right.
Lisa's like, oh, yeah, I'm okay. And then Ruth's like, we got to get you out of these clothes. I'm like, brother, what the fuck? What's wrong with her clothes? There's nothing wrong with her clothes. The clothes are fine. Okay?
But
is she going to get naked again? Man. What's going on in here?
Exactly. It's 1982, brother.
Fuck. Okay, so now we cut to a scene where Ruth's all in brand new clothes. She has some jean and like a red shirt on and shit. And now they're at Ruth's house and they told Steven the plan. So Steven's like, oh yes, electric coil. Oh yes, I gotcha. All
fantastic.
Right. So the plan is for Jamie to set up the electric coil, and then the rest of the crew, they are going to be on the lookout for the NightBeast and to kind of lure him into the coils. Okay, so Lisa tells Steven, have you ever shot before? And he says, a shotgun. And she's like, I got one for you. So she gives him a shotgun. Okay,
perfect.
So now they're looking around. Ruth now wants to go and look to see what's going on with Steven and Lisa. Okay, so she does that. All right, and then out of nowhere, the beast shows up. Okay. Well, first, before that, though, I put my notes. We actually get shots for like a good 5 minutes of people just moving around. Like, everybody's moving. Jack's moving. Lisa's moving.
Everybody's getting in, and everybody's getting the plan in motion.
Yeah. Jamie's moving. Everybody's just moving. Just not saying anything, just moving. Okay? And then the beast shows out of nowhere. All right? And Steven tries to shoot him with the shotgun. It doesn't work. And the beast finally kills Steven. He got that motherfucker. Okay? Ruth's now upset, so she goes to the body. I thought Ruth's going to get it, but she didn't. All right? So now Lisa now gets Ruth out of there. Okay? We have some random plaid shirt guy show up. I don't know who this guy's name is. He's just plaid shirt number 5 shows up here. Right. Okay? And he's firing away, and everybody's firing away again at the beast and stuff. And then, of course, the beast kills plaid shirt number 5. He's dead.
Of course.
Okay.
Yep. Red shirt goes out. It's like a Star Trek.
Yes, it's like a Star Trek. Cannon fodder. The plaid shirt guys. All right. Jamie tells Ruth to get behind the coil. All right. And then they lower the beast to the coil. All right. They keep shooting and stuff. And they tell Jamie, hey, get away. He's like, I can't. I got to hold it. The beast is going to get out of it if I don't hold the coil. He's like, Lisa, turn it on. And they're like, and then she turns it on, and then fucking Jack finally had his line of the movie. If I can. Jack, no!
Oh, yeah.
The only fucking emotion this guy had in the whole film was that line. That was my favorite line.
That line. Yeah. No.
Jack, no!
Because Jack sacrificed himself to save everybody.
It's funny too because he says, "Jack, no!" and then cuts, and then the beast explodes, right? It fucking explodes and everything. Mm-hmm. All right, and then the beast finally explodes. Then Jack puts his arm around Lisa because he knows he's getting laid again tonight. They look up, they look at everything, and we raise the screen back up to the stars.
Yep.
And that ends the NightBeast.
Yeah. I thought it was going to allude to like a sequel that we would never get.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, it's like we're going to see another spaceship coming, but that didn't show.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because usually maybe that hasn't happened. This is 1982. You know what I mean? Like if this was made in like 1985 to like 1989, we definitely would have another spaceship show up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they would have set it up for a sequel for sure.
Exactly. So, but everybody, that is the NightBeast. Like I said, I thought the movie was fun. You know what I mean? Like I didn't think it was horrible. I thought there was enough funny stuff in it that was cool. I thought the gore was pretty good. You know what I mean? Yeah. The laser beams were good and stuff. The only thing I thought about the movie that sucked was the acting. The acting was horrible.
Yeah, the acting was terrible, but I mean they just used whoever they could get, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And we got the 1980s Blue Lightning with when Jack gets electrocuted.
Yep, we got that.
So yeah, I mean it's not bad. I mean it's not a bad film. You know, it was a lot better than I expected it was going to be when I first started watching it.
It's true. But everybody, thanks for joining us here on the Retro Blood. This is actually going to be a jam-packed month for us here on the Retro Blood. We have a lot of stuff this coming. Month. First of all, we have 5 Sundays in the month of June. So that means we have to do 4 more movies after this one. Okay? Mm-hmm. So the schedule has it so far. All right? Mm-hmm. Is coming up next week here on the Retro Blood. Okay?
Yeah.
We are going to be doing the movie Evils of the Night.
Evils of the Night.
Yes. All right.
Okay. I'm ready for it.
Then we're going to come back with Creature. All right.
Oh, yeah. We've been talking about doing this one for a couple of years, so I'm excited about this.
So we got 2. All right. So now the next one we're going to be doing is this new one that I found. All right. And I'm going to tell Alison for the first time on here, so I'll get his live reaction. Hopefully we can find this one. I think I found it on YouTube, but it looks very interesting. It's a movie called Terror Vision.
Terror Vision, yes.
Have you seen that before? That's Terror Vision?
I haven't seen it, but it's one of the movies that I've wanted to do for this show.
Yes.
I didn't know it was about aliens.
Yeah, there's a couple alien shit in there. Okay, that was reading about. And of course, we're going to round up the month for the Retro Blood with Communion, which is actually it's basically was a fan request for us to do, which I actually heard it's a very interesting 1980s alien abduction movie. So it should be very, very interesting. So,
I actually have a lot to say about that. So yeah,
should be very fun.
I'm a huge fan.
Yeah, so that should be very fun. So this should be a pretty fun month. You know, we got the Evils of the Night, Creature, Terror Vision, and Communion.
Yeah.
All right, but that's not all.
That's not all.
Because our sister podcast, for the first time,
The Lights Out,
is coming back again. But for the first time, we're actually going to be doing a video Lights Out, so everybody on YouTube can join us for the Lights Out. And the Lights Out's coming back to talk about the 50-year anniversary of Jaws.
Yes.
We're going to be releasing it on the 50th anniversary. All right. And it's going to be me and Alison talking the history about Jaws, talking the plot, behind the scenes, how inspirational this movie has been for horror movies or just movies in general. It's going to be a fun one. I got a lot of special surprises for that show. Should be very fun. Have some stuff we're going to talk about.
Yeah, so. And Jaws and Lights Out. It's been a while since we've done a Lights Out.
Yes,
quite a while, I think. So for people who are just now joining us, who are new, Lights Out is there's basically no rules. So we talk about something which is not always a movie, but in this case it is. But sometimes it's music, sometimes it's wrestling, sometimes it's other stuff. But there's no rules, there's no format. We talk about whatever we want, so it won't be like a review per se like we normally do. We'll just be talking about whatever.
Yeah.
No rules.
Yeah, we'll just bring up stuff
No holds
about,
barred.
Yeah, so the subject is going to be the original Jaws for the 50th anniversary. All right, but we're going to talk about, some fun facts about the movie, maybe some stuff that was happening around the time while the movie got made. You know what I mean? Some trivia, how inspirational the movie was, the acting on it, the scenes and stuff. We'll talk all about that stuff. So it'll be a very fun discussion of a movie that we've been wanting to do on this podcast for a while. And, obviously it's, the Jaws itself is one of the most inspirational movies that's ever been made. So this will be very fun. And,
absolutely.
And then we'll talk about On the Lights Out. When that show drops on I believe, what was it, June? Yes, it'll be June 20th, where we'll be dropping the 50-year anniversary review of Jaws, because that's when the movie turns 50 years old, because the movie came out June 20th, 1975. So on that episode 2, we will also tell you what is the schedule for July as well. So, but Alison, obviously we probably have to play Michael Jackson's Thriller right now for all the podcast listeners, because that great song came out around this movie, which, I guess we got a little bit of thrills from this movie. You know what I mean? I know our boy Jack did. He finally saw his deputy for more than his deputy saw her for a piece of ass now. And, they fought a space creature. You know what I mean? I wouldn't say this guy's not like the Predator, but, he was close, I guess.
Mm-hmm. I guess
so.
It's like the bargain basement Predator.
Yes.
It's like the Dollar General Predator.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what I mean? The Temu Predator. There you go. That's
exactly the Temu Predator. Yeah. Exactly.
Come on. All right. But everybody, join us here next week for Evils of the Night. J.H. Alison, James Kline. See y'all later.
See you guys.